Welcome back to Afternoon Break. Well, spring is here, which means warmer weather is upon us, signaling those plants to come out of dormancy and start flourishing. You can expect your home landscape to begin thriving with warmer temperatures, so we wanted to bring in an expert to share some helpful spring lawn care tips. Joining me now from Sod Solutions is the one and only Valerie Smith. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about, there's so much to learn about landscape, so we're just going to kind of truncate it here. The difference between a warm season and a cold season lawn.
Sure. So a warm season typically grows in the bottom 2/3 of the United States, whereas a cool season grass will grow in the top 2/3 of the United States. And then there's a transition zone, and that's kind of where the northern and the southern grasses will kind of mix a little bit. So you get a little bit of both in those. So examples of warm season grasses will be like zoysia or St. Augustine or Bermuda, maybe even centipede.
Okay.
And those are grasses that you can get a lot more in our area and in the South in general. Whereas a cool season would be more like tall fescue or a bluegrass.
Yeah, for those of us who are now getting amped up to get our landscapes ready, let's talk about lawn nutrition. What do we need to know about that?
So as your grass is starting to green up after winter dormancy, you're going to start seeing the grass turn green again, and nutrition is going to help a lot with that. So some of the stuff that you want to apply to it would be like your nitrogen, your phosphorus, your potassium.
Okay.
Those are your three main macronutrients, and those are in those fertilizers.
Great.
And this is the fertilizer we kind of recommend. It is our spring fertilizer box. But you can typically get a liquid or a granular. You're probably more familiar with a granular with the big heavy bags and the spreaders that you push.
Right.
This is a liquid, and they're super easy. You just hook them right up to the garden hose, turn the hose on, and spray.
So for your everyman, this might be a little bit
Yes.
easier. Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm glad you
they're
brought up
light.
fertilizers. So let's talk about herbicides as well. There's obviously a lot of bugs in Georgia. I'm learning as I came to the South. So how do we take care of our landscapes? Not even just our lawn, but our flowers. What are the things we need to know?
So the three things would probably be like your herbicides and weed control, your disease control or fungus, and then your insect control as well. So one of the things that we try to recommend is applying a pre-emergent herbicide in the spring, and that helps prevent weeds before they even appear, whereas a post-emergent like treats the currently existing weeds. And it's a lot easier to prevent before you treat weeds. So we recommend a pre-emergent probably when soil temperatures are about 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And here is probably a little bit too late for that because it's been a lot warmer here.
It sure has, yes.
But you can also still apply with like a post-emergent as well.
And speaking of those warm temperatures, we may tend to overwater. Talk about an irrigation schedule, the right type of irrigation schedule.
Sure. So with irrigation, the best thing to do is probably water first thing in the morning. You're going to want to do that instead of later in the evenings. And that basically keeps diseases from like taking over your lawn. If you water during the morning, it kind of burns out chances of disease throughout the hot summer or the spring sun with more daylight. If you water in the evenings, diseases like moist, dark environments, warm environments. And so when you water more during the day, then it kind of gets rid of that opportunity.
Such a great tip. So morning is what is preferred.
Yes, and you're also going to want to typically water your lawn about 1 inch per week without rainfall. So if there's rain, you're going to want to go ahead and turn your irrigation systems off.
Good to know. And then in terms of equipment, there's a lot of varying types of equipment. I know you brought a couple samples for us, but we want to talk about what kind of equipment as well we should be using.
Okay, sure. So spring is a great time to start aerating. And basically what that does is it pokes holes in your soil and in your lawn, and that helps the roots grow more freely in your soil. It also helps oxygen, water, and other nutrients get down into that root zone where it's not as compacted anymore. It's a great time to do that in the spring before it starts to get hot and the summer heat starts stressing your lawn out, and it helps your grass get those nutrients before it starts to get hot and as it's starting to become active again.
So what are these two different types you have for us here?
Sure, so these are plug trays. We have Empire here, which is a zoysia, and then we have Palmetto, which is a St. Augustine. And these are great because with any plug tray, you get like these individual little plugs, and you can plant them in bare or open like damaged spots as well. So if you notice in the spring as your grass comes out, if you notice bare damaged spots, you can go ahead and plant that in there, and it'll kind of fill in those spots. It's also great because you can test out different grass types in your lawn. So like if you're looking at a St. Augustine and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work or not, you can order a tray, plant it in different areas of your lawn and see how it does before you even like commit to a full sod installation.
Right. It's almost like what's compatible with that soil because you
Right.
don't know what that lawn will
Right,
be.
exactly, or the environment. Yes.
Oh my goodness, Valerie, we could talk forever. Thank you so
Yes.
much for these incredible
Absolutely.
tips. We're so
Yeah.
glad you're here today.
Yes, it's great to
And
be
we
here.
have so much more after